my hair. Alright. Hi there, Jay here, and welcome back to Brony D&D. This week, we are doing a lore video, as you could probably tell by the title of this video. So yeah, we're not getting to see what Soul Dive looks like just yet. This time, it's about the Dishonor Brigade. So it's not about Rayan and how his story went after the party went to Bator. Well, let's get right into it. Beginning in 3, 2, 1. Click. Probably won't need this then. The Dishonor Brigade. This is Jalorum's crew, by the way.
My name is Jalorum Tanleal. I'm a jungle half-elf rogue. My father, Thaden Tanleal, is an elven sorcerer. My mother, Eleanor, is a human rogue. You probably already know I take a lot after my mother. It's just not a fun story as to why. Raised in the jungles of Golgari, I learned how to traverse difficult terrain. The trees, vines, and humid weather were my home. That all changed on my 21st birthday. My father brought me to his alchemist laboratory. He described in detail the plan he had for me all through adulthood, right down to the specific school of magic I was to study. Necromancy.
Ooh.
I questioned why he would plan out my life for me.
I hate zombies.
But all he said was, in a hushed tone, "Trust me." I ended up finding his journal later that night, saying my mother's traits were perfect for breeding. He chose Eleanor to gain human attributes to pass on for an offspring. Eleanor's sense of adventure and charisma, combined with Thaden's natural traits, low light vision and being light on his feet, were ideal in his eyes. I was nothing more than a tool for his gain. He caught me with his journal and we got into a heated argument. It was the first time I saw him display anger, as if he saw me as nothing more than a game piece. A pawn to move across the board in order to benefit only himself. The fight went so poorly, I threw his journal so hard back at his face I thought I concussed him. Good. I ran away from Golgari and never looked back. Instead, I changed scenery to a different jungle. The urban jungle.
City life.
I followed my mother's literal footsteps to become a thief. With a distrust of authority, I played by my own rules. So you could say my income is rewarded with some spoils attached. Well, that was after I met Sylvester Volante. Adjusting to city life was challenging. Gatless Town, where I ended up moving to, was not the happiest place in Alatastica. Even though my mom brought prosperity to the town by stealing from Directian in her youth, others saw that as an opportunity to reap the rewards.
Yep.
One Lord Albus Windbreath was the absolute worst ruler I've ever come across. His guards were a nightmare. You get in trouble with the law for simply looking at a soldier funny. Which I did, albeit on purpose. It turns out Windbreath's guards don't like it when you compare their mothers to your average nymphs.
Oh.
That's when the Razorclaw monk stepped in and gave them what for. Sylvester came to my aid to help me out of the bad situation. He helped me adjust to the urban jungle, learn how to get around by going from rooftop to rooftop, and learning how to sneak around. Turns out he had a great teacher in my mom. Sylvia and I got along so well, it was as if we were brothers. His playful nature made me feel comfortable in a completely foreign environment. He was the first person I was able to trust outside of my mother. We even made a pact to undermine the glutton in charge, thus forming the Dishonor Brigade.
Title drop.
The Dishonor Brigade was a roguish group who made their money doing jobs no average humanoid would want to do. From espionage to bounty hunting, we were the group who did the dirty work for Gatless Town. Only problem was, it was just us two. And I had no weapon to speak of because Mom wasn't for hand-me-downs at that point. That's where the elven blacksmith Waltzam Tomo comes in. Waltzam was the first new recruit. Well, actually his real name was Richard, but he preferred to be called Waltzam because it sounded cooler. As the son of a blacksmith, he crafted my first ever weapon, a cast iron short sword that I use to this day. He was always eager to help out in a pinch, especially with those he considered close friends, although he's a little too passionate about making things that kill. I've gotten used to it. So, it was us three. A shifter monk, a half-elf rogue, and an elven fighter ready to take down the man. And we got caught. A lot. Like, outside of my mom's hideout, which we dubbed the Foxhole, we might as well have taken up residency in the town jail. An annoyed halfling by the name of Benjamin Wisetrack saw us miscreants every day running from the law. So, because he was smarter than us, he reluctantly joined to create tools and other tinkerings to aid in whatever mission we went on. We still got caught, but now not as often thanks to our genius artificer. At that point, we had more experience under our belt, starting out with espionage on an invading goblin army.
Cool.
One case, however, plopped right into our laps. Literally. Murphy Reschke, a half-orc barbarian, was one case we needed to take on. He was constantly discriminated against for his race and his lack of intelligence, always accused of crimes he didn't commit, and enticed to throwing the first punch against the corrupt guards. We took him into the foxhole for a place of comfort. Walton's compassion eased him in, and now he's our gentle giant who could still kick your rear with a swing of his great club. Thus, the Dishonor Brigade gained its final member.
Yeah.
The rest is history. The life of a thief is an interesting one. It's not all being one swing ahead of the sword and stealing what you can't afford, although that does happen a lot. We did some pretty mischievous things as long as we could sneak in some rewards for ourselves. But as long as our motives were in good faith, we let it slide.
Yep.
For example, Windbreath put a tax on pretty much anything in Gatlas. From alcohol to clothing, you would expect prices to be inflated. Except it never went to the town. All of it just lined Windbreath's fat pocket so he can eventually swim in it like some gold-obsessed waterfowl. So, it was time someone collected his revenue. It was a daring campaign. Just 5 men running the operation. At midnight, we each had a job. Sylvester, being the most acrobatic of the bunch, had to infiltrate the barracks and secure plate armor for 4 of us to wear. Sadly, no plate armor fit a halfling at the time. My skill with guile let me convince several guards to change their shift because Windbreath ordered them to take a break that night. Worked like a charm. Benjamin developed a couple of gadgets for the mission,
I'm over there.
including a timed grenade that would knock out an entire room, as well as a scrying orb to place indiscriminately on Windbreath's personal bodyguards. Walton and Murphy were the last stand, in case a couple of watchmen spotted us. Thankfully, it didn't come to it, as we pilfered 75% of the corrupt lord's wealth. Forming the Dishonor Brigade was the best thing that happened to me. If not for them, I would have never survived the city life. Hell, I probably would be in prison if not for these roguish figures. We were the unsung heroes of Gatlas. We eventually put a hit on old Windbag and placed a proper lady in charge. Roselia Alpenwhisper. Sadly, the brigade is disbanded, but on good terms. Nowadays, Walton runs the armory, Benjamin and his wife Penny own the town store, Murphy's on night watch working for the tavern, and I haven't heard from Sylvester in years. Rumor has it he settled down with a sun elf and has 2 kids.
Aww.
I have no idea where, though. As for me, well, you know where I am.
Yeah.
Today, I live in Gatlastown, a great trading hub as well as a nice place to earn some gold. Word on the streets is there's an interesting quest waiting for the next great thief to join. Will I do good? Will I do bad? A little bit of both? Only time will tell.
So it's a prequel. Well, that was short and sweet. A little bit of Jalrum's history, and yeah, the Dishonor Brigade. I speak English, apparently, sort of, maybe. Yeah. Benjamin is dead, according to Sylvester, by Soren's hands, most likely. And, yeah, the rest is history. So, yeah, again, that was short and sweet. Not much use for this little guy this time. But that will have to wait for next week when we see the horrors that is the landscape crafted out of Asmodeus' soul. Oh boy. I am JYoshi64, and I will see you all next time. See ya.